to the Spot Real Talk. This is the Quarantine Chronicles. And we also do the happy hour edition of the Spot Real Talk. And I'm drinking my mango Malibu and rum. My name is Sierra, by the way, also.
Hi, I'm LaWanda, and I'm on water today.
I'm Tiffany, and I have cherry Moscato today.
I'm Ron. I got absolutely nothing. I've been a lush all week. Gotta get back out.
It's all good, Ron. Plenty more episodes to come.
You got it. I'll be good next time. I'll be ready for you. Hey, look, we're going to continue with the show, but give us 2 and 2, and we'll be right back.
Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that I won't.
All right, welcome back. And today we are talking about Insecure. This episode is titled Lowkey Trippin. Trippin, yeah. Mm-hmm. I can see why they titled it Lowkey Trippin.
Good title. Good title. Mm-hmm. And the music is good too. I mean, it's
the music is always good.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't know if y'all noticed it in the credits, but Raphael Sadiq was in charge of the music.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Oh, he has been since the beginning. He and Solange Knowles were like the creative directors for the music and things.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great, and especially since they were in Mexico, I loved how the music was a representative of the Latin culture, and fusing that culture up in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think about the first song after Molly? After we saw Molly in the Ethiopian restaurant.
That song was perfect for the occasion.
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm going to try to find something for our credits that will kind of coincide with that.
Yeah, I won't repeat it because there was a lot of expletives.
Yeah, of course.
It was definitely fitting. And, speaking of that scene with the restaurant, it kind of picked up where Issa left off last week. And so we see Issa's perspective of how that went down. But this week we see Molly's perspective. And we weren't even aware that Molly had actually seen Issa as she was getting out of her car. And she was equally as pissed when she seen Issa running back to the car.
I thought it was crazy, what she said, but I really thought when she saw Issa, she thought Issa was coming in to make nice with her, that Issa was probably going to apologize or find some way to smooth it over, and that's not what happened.
Which I'm extremely proud of Issa for.
Me too.
Yeah, Molly has.
Me too.
Molly has some real deep issues that I was good. I was happy to see she was, making some steps to take care of her erratic behavior or ability to just lose it on a moment's notice. I'm hoping that she does, but she has to start treating her bestie as a woman who is out there trying to get it like everybody else, and stop thinking that she's a whipping toy for her whenever she feels like just getting nasty. She's got to take that.
Well, you know what, Molly is so, like we said last week, condescending, and she talks down on people because when she ran back and told Andrew that she had seen Issa at the restaurant, what was the first thing she said? She ran away from me like I was a real job. And I'm like, okay, now Molly.
Yeah.
I tell you, I live tweet these shows, and somebody on Twitter, when she said that, said, "You raggedy bee," about Molly. And
that was a raggedy thing to say.
It was a raggedy thing to say. And there was another tweet about Issa. When Issa ran out, someone called her a coward, which I don't agree with. I think she just was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be the first one to make up this time. And that's what I think she just took her leave. I don't see her as being a coward for doing that.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, at some point, you got to stand up for yourself, and she's doing it. And you know what? If this relationship is going to go any farther, Molly is going to have to understand that that's not a whipping board for her anymore. She's going to have to calm it down, bring it down a notch or 2 or 3, and treat Issa like Issa should be treated. Because Issa, like you all said, she gives in to Molly at every single turn. And I'm glad.
It seems like.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems like Molly is used to whipping up on people. Because in the scene with her assistant, where her assistant like had forgot to remind her of this meeting, and so Molly has to go and do all of this stuff last minute, and she's talking to her assistant, and she's pretty much telling her, I don't pay you to make me look stupid. And it's kind of like she gives everybody like a verbal lashing, and she's condescending, and she doesn't know how to express herself without being rude.
No, I agree, and again, that's a thing that she's going to have to deal with on her own. First, she has to recognize it, and again, I like, Tiffany, you said something a while back. You said that Andrew was good for Molly because he seems to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off in terms of tightening that screw.
Yeah, you don't have to use a hammer to get your point across, and I appreciate that about Andrew. He's gonna let her know how he feels, but he's real subtle with it. Like when, for instance, the situation when Nathan called, and then she realizes that Issa was over there with Nathan, and she starts talking about Issa. He said, "Is Issa on this trip?" He killed all that noise. So she was like, "No, she isn't," and then she backed up off the topic. And there's a way to address it without being heavy-handed.
But she had a moment there because as Andrew began to really start telling a little bit about what he was going through. What did Molly had asked,
said he had mental health issues.
Yeah, and Molly picked up on that and said, "Does Issa know?"
Right.
And so that kind of gave me the impression that, well, maybe she does care a little bit about Issa, and
she still cares about Issa.
Of course she does.
Well,
so in that moment, that's when I saw that she was just like, "Well, does she know?" Because naturally, this is your friend. You're like, "Oh wow!" Like she just thinks he ghosted her, and that's what Molly thinks. Because Molly was writing him off like he was just some tired,
Yeah.
Yeah, but she.
Yeah, and that was
so.
Yeah, but I think Andrew, I like the way he approaches her because I don't think
I do too.
It wouldn't work if you had two alphas together. They would immediately bump heads. But then I sometimes wonder if he's being too diplomatic, because the at some point I felt, and again, we weren't privy to everything, but I felt like he should have said more to her after the altercation at the block party, and I felt like he should say more to her after the words that she had with his brother and what she said about him. You can be nice up to a point, but at some point, I think he has to address things with her immediately. It doesn't have to be boisterous the way she is, but I think it would serve him better if he addressed it then rather than waiting.
Absolutely.
You're right.
And do you guys, let's talk about that incident that happened at the pool while we're on the topic, because Molly was denied a towel because she didn't have her room key, and Andrew's brother Victor kind of had to come in and intervene so she could get her towel. She snatches it and runs off to the pool. But he was kind of like in the pool, he was playing devil's advocate where he was talking like, well, was it really about race or was she just doing her job? And so that brings up an interesting topic. And it also presents like the issue for Andrew because he's always being neutral and playing neutral ground for Molly. And I think he was trying not to create an issue because obviously that's his brother and you don't want a family issue getting in the way of your relationship or vice versa.
Good point.
But how did you guys feel about that topic? Like speaking as,
For one thing, I think the scene itself really didn't set up enough for me to more or less proclaim some racist attempt here. And I say that because I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, what we saw is the white couple getting a towel. We never saw whether they showed their key.
And I felt the same way. I went back and rewind it, and I was like, let me see, did they give her her key?
Yeah.
And I was like,
no.
And I only saw them getting a towel, so it never showed us.
Right. And I think that for Molly, if this was going to be any kind of racial discussion, what she should have said to the young lady, well, I'm sorry, but I saw you give a towel to the couple before me. Did they happen to show you their key? And then that would have given the woman a chance to say yes or no. And let's say that she said no. Then I would say, well, then is it the policy of this hotel to ask for identification for Black people, and non-Blacks get the courtesy. And let's see how she handles that. And then if she still doesn't answer that question in the vein that would make common sense out of it, then I would say, well, may I speak to your manager? As calmly as I possibly can. And then let's find out then what the policy really is. But she took it to 100. And even when Victor gave her, showed his key, says, hey, yada, yada, she snatched it and ran. She never even said to Victor, hey, thank you.
Right. I am sensitive to those things because, a lot of time when people of color, Black people specifically, when we go out of the country, a lot of the times we don't receive the best treatment.
Exactly.
So I understand what Molly was saying, but then on the side of the brother, I was also Molly might have been being a little hypersensitive there. She's been having all these issues going on with Issa and in her work life, and she is confrontational kind of by nature. And so I'm I kind of see both sides of the picture. And because we didn't actually get to see whether that couple actually showed a key card or not, like you said, Ron, it does leave room for a question.
Right.
But I think Molly's comment about Asians and them being, people of color when it's convenient for them, I was like, ooh, you opened up a whole nother can of worms there, girl.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And then the way she stormed off and was like, F you and all that, she took it to another level.
Yeah.
They could have disagreed, agreed to disagree.
They were having a conversation and it turned into, a debate. And Molly should learn, as a lawyer, you got to know how to debate. I'm trying to understand. What do you do?
How did it come to, Lord?
My whole thing in this whole thing is that, part of your training is that you don't react, you respond. Yeah. And she's been reacting and not responding. Exactly. The other, and it's always in things that could just come back on you, like starting a fight at a block party or having an argument in a foreign country. I'm gonna let you have that towel because I'm not in the U.S. We have trouble here, but I'm definitely not gonna escalate a situation in a foreign country when I don't know what the outcome would be. So I'm just okay, Molly's right. And then
it's so unfortunate too because it seemed like her and Andrew had, really been getting on good. They had been getting handsy on the plane and showing all this affection, getting it on the patio, and they had this really good time. And then here comes Molly, it seems like she's so self-destructive almost. It's and she said that before, it's almost like she sabotages herself all the time.
She does.
And she can't just, concede to anything. She always has to get the last word.
Yeah, and this is the weekend you meet your boyfriend's family. Not that you want to be fake, but you do want to make a good impression. So you choose your battles, right? And that's not what's happening here. It's
the way
I thought about in a bad position where he had to choose between her and his brother. And I thought that. But
then again, notice that too, because he was quick to get on his brother, and my thought was, wow, you got fired. But I've never kind of seen you direct that in the proper sense when you're dealing with Molly. You jumped all into your brother protecting Molly. I understand you want to protect your lady, but it would seem to me, I would have more or less tried to neutralize the situation between my brother and my girlfriend, as opposed to just jumping in. He had to have seen in fact, his brother, Victor said, we're having a discussion. We can't have a lively discussion without you throwing F-bombs. That's a problem. Because she could have gotten her point across, Miss Lawyer, to get your point across without, going off the deep end. Help me out, LaWanda. I know you're a lawyer.
But it's also what in that argument, it's not having the sense that maybe we don't need to escalate this. It's a conversation for another day. I don't want to start something. I just met them. This is his family. Let's just have a good time. There's that part of it, but it's also what she said during that argument when she brought up the issue of Asians. Oh, you're people of color when it benefits you, but when we need you. I'm not mad at her for saying that. She spoke the truth, but what she said to Andrew is, oh, you're different.
Yeah.
Right.
And his brother called her out too, and he was like, "Oh, so you can't be objective when you want to be."
Yeah,
Right.
you can't be objective when you want to be, but the other part of that is Andrew, he was taken aback by that. I just think it's not his way to be confrontational, but if the tone of their relationship and their interactions out of that was cool. It was tired. I mean, not quiet. It was cool. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was,
Yeah.
you know how you something happens and something changes, and it just seemed like the atmosphere around them changed after that point. He was quiet. I think whether he took his brother's side or not, what he did was like, you two are not going to interact anymore on this vacation.
Right.
I thought that was a bad sign. It wasn't like we're going to smooth this over and continue. It's like, no, we're going to keep you separate. That's not a good thing to mean that I can't bring you around my family.
Right.
That
And it
is-
already seems like he has a strained relationship with his family because they briefly brought up Andrew's sister
Right.
and how she kind of like they were inviting her to something and it seemed like a surprise that they were going to, like they were trying to work on their relationship or something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, family seems to be a big part of Andrew's life and he seems to really value family. And so for her to kind of add to the issues, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. I was like, come on, Molly, you got to be a little more sensitive, especially if you plan on being long-term with this man. I mean, he ate the groceries this episode. I mean, he's clearly invested in you enough to eat the groceries.
Yeah. He already
Listen.
said it takes him a while to open up, and he's showing her more parts of himself, and I don't know. If I was him, I'd be like, okay.
I like that Andrew had a wild side.
Yeah, he do. He had all kind of toys, and Molly seemed like he was rude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to go there? Yeah, he came equipped.
Yeah, he did.
He had an arsenal.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
So-
but I'm not mad
I'm
at him
like-
because Molly looked darn
I'm
good in that
like,
lingerie.
more. Forget what
look.
I'm saying.
He had all the tools to get it done. I mean, they could have worked for the whole vacation and been happy. But getting back to this thing with Andrew and his family, it was like a powder keg waiting to explode, I guess, because that was all Andrew needed to bring out whatever he has against his brother, or because I think he thinks his brother likes to show off, or whatever it is. But again, Molly ruined it, because that first impression is very hard to overcome, whether negative or positive. So Molly leaves this very negative impression with his brother and sister-in-law, and that's going to be very difficult to overcome, because years down the road they're going to remember that, and whenever you see Molly, one or two things are going to happen. You're either not going to speak to her much, just a simple hello, goodbye.
Or they're going to keep having separate occasions. They're not going to interact much, like LaWanda said.
Exactly.
He may not. It's not a good. And they were having such a good time at first. I was thinking when I was watching the episode, I was like, wow, like I would like a vacation like that. Like it was beautiful. I liked her outfit. And she and Molly were flowing. And even when they went out dancing, like Molly was dancing with his brother, and Andrew was dancing with his sister-in-law. Like they were having the bomb time up
really.
until that moment. But it made me think about what Issa said at the block party. She was like, "You gonna ruin it all by yourself. Like you don't need my help." You're talking about Issa being messy. She was messy all by herself.
Yes, indeed. But I mean, while she was messy with her comment, I do like that the episode did bring that up, because we've been seeing a lot in the news where Asian communities have not been very supportive of, Black communities. And a lot of times, like, they're okay with accepting our money, but when it comes down to, advocating for us, they are nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
and so I like that this episode kind of brought it up, even though it was at the expense of
their relationship.
Andrew and his family. It was a good point. It was just badly timed in terms of when Molly chose to bring it up.
And again, I think if she were willing or had the capacity to actually get into a successful debate, that could have been brought up in such a way because Victor did say, "Wait, what? You don't think that we're,
Now, dad don't experience racism.
Yeah.
That's
She
what he
just
said.
doesn't have the tactfulness to do that. She can't have a tactful conversation without being argumentative.
right?" And that's the point. It's being argumentative when you're trying to debate. And I'm just trying to figure out what kind of lawyer is she? Is she
Oh, I think she's a good one, but for me, it's time and place.
I think she is too. She's probably a litigator.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, come on now.
Look, I'm with the fierceness, but I'm also into presentation too.
But fierceness with tact is good,
Yeah, yes.
but you got to have tact. You got to be going somewhere, because you wouldn't throw an F-bomb into a debate. It just minimizes anything you're trying to say. But again, I think that is it possible that she can make amends and have a do-over? I think there is.
She's going to therapy.
Well,
I thought that was one of the best things she did was picking up the phone and calling that therapist.
Yes,
And
right.
she needed too, because I think she feels guilty about what happened all the way around. I think she's starting to realize that she is the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, she needs to learn to let go, and she does. She does. Whatever these microaggressions or offenses or things that she's holding and it just comes out, it just explodes. So
I guess that's the point. Does she actually know what's causing these uproars? Does she know inside what's really going on? Because they're so explosive and so immediate. It's like, what could she? I mean, she seemingly has everything a single woman would want. Other than the family, she wants to get into the family life and all that. That's great. But right now, you're a single woman, you have a great job, you have really decent friends. Is there something in your past that we don't know yet?
Well, we know that she has a lot of family trauma since her father cheated on her mother. That's part of it. But right. I wonder if it's even more there that we don't know, like something else. It has to be.
Yeah, you got to. Her brother told her to leave that one alone. They're good. You need to come out and come out of whatever.
And I thought it was funny that they had Kim Fields in this episode playing the lady that had been 3 days out of her marriage or whatever, and she's on this plane to Mexico and she's lonely and she's talking about like all of trying to cope with it, and I'm like, Molly, if you don't be careful, that's gonna be you.
Yeah, a few more years.
So I thought that was funny.
Well, you see, she had a boo when she got back to LA.
Yeah, I was about to say she got her groove back at the end of the trip.
One. She found a boo on the trip.
And speaking of boos,
speaking
of boos,
don't bring
run
it
into
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yeah,
Lawrence looked good too.
Yeah, he did. Now, Tiffany, I know you and I have our little infights about this whole situation, and I know you wanted to tell me something.
I know you saw that preview of next week too.
Hey, I don't know who he was talking to. I'm going there. I don't know.
So you didn't watch the preview. So you didn't see.
Look.
We called somebody up that he misses them and that he wanted to grab a drink. And then in the preview, who do we see at the bar? Your girl, Issa.
Well, out. Look, I'm speechless right now because I want to be. I'm just, I'm not going to have it. What?
Because you have to be. Because you've been wrong.
Hey, you know what? I look at the war. I don't look at the battles, okay? I might have lost this battle, but it's the war. I'll win the war. So I don't, look, Lawrence, if he knows what I know, he needs to keep it moving. And, it seemed like he had a great time. Wherever he went, whatever he did, seemed like he had a great time with it. Keep it moving, Lawrence. Keep it moving.
Well,
and how awkward was Molly? Molly was so awkward.
Oh, what was that about?
When she
the Full House comment?
I was just like, what is that?
What was that about?
Yeah, that was weird. And I think, I don't know if she thought he said he was coming from somewhere else, but last time I checked, Full House was in San Francisco, and it sounded like he said Frisco, so I don't know if that's
where he came from. San Francisco.
He said Frisco. That's where he was coming from.
Yeah.
So is that shorthand for San Francisco?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so maybe that's where that comment came from, because that's where the show Full House was based. But to assume that somebody can just pick up on that show from like 20 years ago, you saying a hook line.
She was being weird.
She was
being weird in that moment. She was really awkward, and I guess she didn't want to have to say to Andrew that this was Issa's ex.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
just realized that was Lawrence and Andrew's first time meeting for some reason.
Because Issa and Nathan were dealing with each other, and Nathan is Andrew, so he doesn't know, and that's all Molly had to say was, this is Issa's ex.
That's all.
But I guess because they're in such a weird space, it's just spilling over into everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're making this whole thing taboo. It's not. Okay? People break up. They do it all the time. And when Andrew said, well, who's that? Oh, that's Issa's ex.
That's what I said.
Yeah, end of story.
Yeah, she and Molly were weird after that argument anyway. You know what I mean? I think the awkwardness had more to do with them, what was going on between her and Andrew.
I agree. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I first see in the future, because based on this next episode, it looks like Issa is going to meet up with Lawrence. I don't know if she's going to reciprocate the feelings that Lawrence has, because he obviously has something he wants to tell her. But I don't know if Issa's going to reciprocate those feelings now that Nathan is in the picture. So I see this love triangle that Issa's going to be caught in between two men and trying to sort her feelings. But for some reason, I'm not sure if I see Lawrence coming out the winner.
I do, and well, that's my concern, really. That's my concern.
Maybe not.
Which is why I say Lawrence really needs to move on. But at the same token, because I am who I am, I'm a gentleman, I'm a scholar and honor and everything like that. I'm going to give it to you, Tiffany. This comes hard for me to give you points, because you're already slightly ahead of me anyway, but I'm going to give it to you. Now, look, don't rub it in. I'm just giving it to you. But yes, I think that what I do think is that the two of them need to sit down, have a conversation about where this whole thing is going. Forget the past. I mean, do we have a chance at this or not? Because this skipping around the whole relationship thing is not going to work. So they do need to sit down and talk. And I'm hoping that when Lawrence speaks with her, that's what he has to say. Hey, yeah, I miss you. I think we had something at a time. Where can we go from here? And it has to happen. And they both have to be honest with this discussion, because they're just playing around with it. They're tapping each other. It's like, okay, you're it, now I'm it. Come on, sit down and talk. What's up with this relationship? And she has to be honest with herself and her boo. Well, Nathan, is she really committed to Nathan in any sort of way, or is it just? And when I say committed, I mean,
I think they're just hanging out. I don't know
that's a real dangerous
she and
thing.
Nathan are even back together. I mean,
but no, I know they're not. But I'm saying it's a real dangerous thing when you're hanging out with somebody that you once had feelings with, because it can stir up other things. Because what is Nathan thinking? So you have to be careful when you're hanging out. You have to make sure that both of you are on the same plane. And the question is, are they?
And Issa is going to have to figure out, once Nathan comes clean with her about why he goes to her initially, I think Issa's going to have to come to terms with whether or not she can cope with his mental health issues, because if that's going to be an ongoing thing, then I don't think Issa's going to be in a place where she wants to deal with, the on and off, the hot and coldness of Nathan.
I agree.
I think she's growing to a point where she wants something stable. And so Lawrence might present that. So it's like the pros and the cons of both persons. She's going to have to weigh between Nathan and Lawrence.
I agree.
And what she's willing to tolerate at this point in her life.
I agree.
Where is Daniel?
Daniel, he needs to stay away, because this don't need to become a love square.
Yeah.
It could be a triangle real quick, but I think, I don't know. Lawrence is best for Issa.
I think so.
I think so too.
That I will agree with. But there's a lot of discussion that has to happen. And just like you said, Tiara, can she deal with the back and forth, on and off with Nathan? Is his mental capacity such that she has to give some thought for a relationship? There's a lot of talk that has to happen. So while they're just hanging out, some truths have to come, have to take place. We got to know who we're hanging out with. What's your where are you going with this? Let me know so I can tell you where I'm going. Because really, it's just about to get real messy. Lawrence is going to come back. Then you got Nathan. Who knows? Daniel might show up somewhere down the line. It's going to get real messy.
I think so.
Well, why was he in Frisco? That would be. That's what I would want to know.
Didn't he say something about the job? Didn't he say something about the job? He had to go to Frisco for something with the job.
I think so. I was thinking it was.
I thought it was job related.
No, I don't remember, but
He looked good though, and shout out to Jay Ellis for directing this episode.
Yes, he did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of
the
And I think this is the first time Insecure as a show has ever filmed out of the country.
Yes.
So I liked how they really, incorporated the cultures of other places, the location where they were at, the music, like I said, and they were even talking about the ceviche, the food all the way around. So
yes.
And then the after show, they were in the wind down, they were talking about how, it's important to show that Black people travel. And it's so true. Like, we do travel both, in TV shows, but as, working, like the people in the cast, it's important to see, Black filmmakers and stuff like that. I even liked how they incorporated the Finding LaToya into the Mexican TV.
I was going to say that.
Yes, so that was really, I just think they did a good job all the way around this episode. And
yeah, they did. It made me miss traveling. Like, we're all quarantined. It made me miss Mexico. I'm like, wow. Miss traveling.
Did you see on Instagram or Twitter that one of the cameos, the writer of the show, was the waiter? He played the waiter.
Oh, I didn't notice that actually.
They had a shot of a waiter. He had his hair pulled back into a little ponytail, but they either on Twitter or Instagram, they shouted him out. He was the writer of this episode.
Well,
I also saw. Go ahead.
Are you talking about in the airport?
Yeah, but was he?
Yeah, are you going to say what I was going to say?
Yeah, because in the airport, there were two people that were holding up signs, kind of like waiting for somebody to come. And one of them was like, the sign said Nora Grace Ellis, which, obviously probably somebody related to Jay Ellis, who plays Lawrence.
It's his daughter. He has
and then
a new
shout
daughter.
out Rothwell, who is Natasha Rothwell's, I'm assuming her child. And she plays as, what's her name? Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kelly. So I was like, I like how they incorporated their families into the episode and just all of these little hidden little gems throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So overall, I think I enjoyed it. Looking forward to next week for sure. I want to know where we're going to be left by the end of the season, because I think we're on episode 7 now?
Yeah, this is 7.
Yeah, next week will be 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's winding down, so we don't have too long before we get to a point where it's like, okay, this is the end of it. I feel like we're going to be left on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think it'll be Issa and her coming mess with these all these men that she has in her in her sights right now. So, but I can live with it. That's what the show's about.
Yeah, I don't see a resolution with Molly and Issa by the end of the season. I think they're going to continue this into the next season, probably.
Or you know what though? If Molly and Andrew don't work it out, she's gonna need a friend to lean on.
That's a good point.
It might be Kelly or Tiffany.
I don't know.
It might be Kelly.
I think if they don't work out, she's gonna go right back to Issa. I think Molly will just beeline right back to Issa. It'll happen. Because
she's gonna think about all the stuff that Issa said. Like Issa said, this is, if it don't work out, it's because of you, not me. And then the comment that she made to her in the grocery store about her pretty much ruining things by being Molly. So all that stuff is in her head and all that. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens with them.
Well, we got about 4 minutes. We got about 4 minutes left. So,
Okay.
We might want to start
Well, I
wrapping
just
up.
wanted to point out that we seen how last episode, Issa was, really harping on things. She had Molly's voice replaying in her head over and over, and she was really, working to better herself, trying to do good acts of kindness and whatever. But this episode, we see Molly was kind of like, she was thinking about Issa, but it was like not in a constructive way, where she was like, maybe I need to look into myself and see what I did. And it's like a stark contrast between Issa trying to like, well, maybe how did I contribute to this? How can I work on it? But we have Molly here self-sabotaging and only trying to correct things after she's ruined things with Andrew almost.
Well, it's
So
funny,
that was an interesting thing to see.
As a man, I hear a lot of times about how women, when they have their best girlfriends, and then when they get a boyfriend of some sort, they kind of leave their besties behind. And initially, that's what it looked like with me, with Molly, putting so much into Andrew. Maybe it has to be that way for Molly, because Molly can't seem to separate, or rather divide herself between, having a best girlfriend and some friendship with Andrew. Maybe she has to do, maybe it's all or nothing for Molly. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, do you guys have any closing remarks before we end things?
Well, I hope I'm not proven too wrong by Tiffany. I hope there's a light that I can lean on or shine with, because Tiffany seems to do it to me every single time. So I'm going to hang with that. Right now, I'm going to still hang with the fact that Lawrence is going to come to some sort of senses and demand from Issa where we're headed. What is this?
I mean, I said to you that they may not reconcile this season. I said by the end of this series period, they'll probably end up being back together. I was thinking that they might get it in this season.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But who knows what he might tell her? He might chicken out at the bar. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, whether or not he'll come right out and tell her, or, just from past experience, they don't come right out and say it. What they do is prod you. So what are you up to? You seeing anyone? They do, almost like they do background research before they decide whether or not they're going to put it all out there. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next episode.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. To all the viewers out there, thank you for watching us. We're always excited to bring you our quarantine chronicles and our happy hours. So stick with us. We're going to continue with the last couple of episodes of Insecure, and then we'll pick up with another show from there. But in the meantime, you can follow us online. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Spot Real Talk. Please make sure you also like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification bell so that you get notified every time we post. And start throwing suggestions out there, because Insecure will be ending soon. So if you want to see us review other shows, or even if you would like to join us in conversation, drop it down in the comments, and also let us know what you thought about this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. I think we're going to call it a night.
Good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Why you tripping, baby? You know you is like it. Acting like you know what's up, but you ain't psychic. Told you nothing going down, but you ain't like it.